Hi, I'm Dr. David Dobson. Welcome to Conversations. Today, my guest is Ai Nhan Ngo. She is a PhD candidate in marketing at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. Today, we will discuss her PhD research on enoughness mindset in consumption. It's a great pleasure to have you with me today, Ai Nhan.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me on your channel and giving me a chance to share my research.
Your research focuses on consumer enoughness. Please explain what enoughness is.
So I like to start with root first. The root of enoughness is enough, the word enough. And I'm sure everybody will have different ways to use the word enough.
Yeah, yeah,
For example, some would say enough in terms of control, a
yeah,
stop,
yeah,
a feeling,
yeah,
an accomplishment.
yeah,
Some would say it depends on what is enough about.
yeah.
Or even some would say like, what the heck is enough? It's never enough to me. you know? So
Yeah,
overall, enough
yeah,
carry a sense of quantity in it.
yeah,
And in linguistics term,
yeah, yeah,
it is a quantifier and it go with, attributes, mental predicates, time, space, substantives, existent possession,
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
goes with noun, verb, adjective, adverb.
yeah.
It can fit in many positions in
Right.
different sentence structure also.
Yes.
So, and it's also a gradable word.
Okay.
So all of those
Yeah.
that make the sense of enoughness a
Okay.
very fluid concept.
Okay.
It's really hard to come up with a definition that
Sure.
everybody will agree with.
Yeah.
But from my exploration,
Yeah.
one has a sense of enoughness
Right.
when wanting more and better is possible.
Mm-hmm.
But it is more reasonable for them to accept something at a level below that.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have an urge in themselves to rein in
Yeah.
themselves to
Yeah.
satisfy their desire
Uh-huh.
up to a point that they think this is enough.
Uh-huh.
And that urge comes from the self-awareness of their own contentment
Yeah.
and their personal value of knowing limits and boundaries to control their
Yeah.
actions
Yeah.
in consideration of harmony among people or the harmony between people and nature.
Right.
And that is my the definition I came up with, the sense of enough.
Okay. What
This
draw your interest to this topic?
it's a long story. Uh, I would say it came from my personal
Uh-huh.
experience in this life,
Uh-huh.
and it had several triggers, along with time to for it to develop. Um, what I noticed is like it's my own bringing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in Vietnam.
Nice.
Um, let's say I was born in 1986.
Okay.
And as you know, after
Yeah.
1975,
Yeah.
Vietnam was dealing with economic difficulty as a country.
Right. Yeah.
And it was reflected in everyone's meals with
Uh-huh.
cassava for a period of,
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
So I remember like life only really got better around 1995.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been seeing, people dealing with not enough,
Yeah.
but they make it enough somehow.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I seen that my parents do that too.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like around 1995 is where my family really has enough to eat and have
Okay.
enough to buy a TV.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about
Yeah. Yeah.
washing machine or
Yeah.
other facilities. It's come
Yeah.
like 10 years later than that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and constantly seeing people around me
Mm-hmm.
balancing to make it enough for the family,
Right.
relatives. It left a big impact on my life. But
Okay.
the true, I mean, the explosive trigger
Yeah.
to my research with
Uh-huh.
illness was my own crisis.
Okay. Okay.
I
Uh-huh.
questioned my value as a human being.
Okay.
So I was a stay-at-home mom
Mm-hmm.
with a toddler,
Mm-hmm.
couldn't work, couldn't go to school, faced
Mm-hmm.
depression, because
Yeah.
I believe that I create my value through
Yeah.
working. And
Yeah.
without working,
Yeah.
I'm not productive, I'm not
Yeah.
valuable at all.
Yeah.
And I think many women would
Yeah.
share this feeling with me.
Right. Yeah.
And when I could go back to school, I took up really quick. But then I found myself in another extreme. I
Right.
overworked to show what I was capable of.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I sleep like 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And especially when I enroll in my PhD program, I try to
Uh-huh.
finish up assignments and, balance my time for work and my
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah.
Every day I told myself like, hey, you can stretch a little bit more, just a
Yeah.
little bit more each day to make
Yeah.
a difference.
Yeah.
And to a point, I face burnout and I
Yeah.
want to quit and I get out of
Uh,
that situation so bad,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, I love learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I usually joke with my friends like, hey,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you love something, send a signal to the universe and the universe will respond you. The
Right.
universe respond me with a chance to go buy a clip of how much is enough game show.
Right.
And then when I
Yeah.
watch that, it's just bombard myself with questions like,
Yeah.
what is enough?
Yeah.
What is greedy?
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
questions come up.
Yeah.
And then the researcher in me slowly collect materials and trace idea and trying to
Nice.
make sense of that question.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think my curiosity motivated me to find
Right.
the answer for that question and for
Yeah.
my own well-being.
Yeah. Yeah. What research methodology did you use to study consumer enoughness?
So that's actually a very good question. When I do the literature review and come up with the idea that I'm going to do research about this.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah. Yeah.
method is the thing that we have to choose after we choose what is the question. And
Yeah.
at this point in time,
Yeah.
I at the point that I choose to do the
Yeah.
research, I
Yeah.
didn't know what is enoughness in the current or contemporary culture at all.
Okay.
And that is the motivation for me to say, hey, I need to know what is it first before
Yeah.
I, trying
Yeah.
to make sense and
Yeah.
combine it with others construct to
Yeah.
make a broader sense.
Yeah.
And for that, I have to do a qualitative exploration of what is enough
Yeah.
that people talking about.
Yeah.
And I mean, originally a member in my community suggested me to
Okay.
do like an ethnography on ethnography, but I couldn't find a community that practiced enoughness.
Okay.
And if I find like, I mean, a possibility will be like Buddhist temple,
Yeah.
but the findings and the generalization of my research, if I do that direction, will be very limited because we,
Yeah.
as an average person, we can't live like a monk or a nun. So that makes the in-depth
Yeah.
interview as the best choice
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me to do. So it
Yeah.
was nice that I can have a chance to talk to them one
Yeah.
on one,
Yeah.
trying to dive deep into their world to
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
their perspective and put
Yeah.
things together to make sense. What is enough?
Yeah. 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 What did you learn from your research?
Hmm.
The thematic analysis you did for your research.
So when I did my research at the beginning, when I do the literature review to me is a text analysis.
Okay.
So I read a lot about enoughness across time
Yeah. Yeah.
and put them in a timeline history, how it was formed, how
Uh-huh.
it's been changed and transformed, and what is the form right now. That's the idea of me looking at a construct. And I identify the 4 components of enoughness, including reining in design, knowing contentment, knowing when to stop,
Yeah.
or knowing limits,
Okay.
and the consideration of harmony
Okay.
from literature review.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I did that, I
Yeah.
found in the concept in Buddhist sutras and Tao Te Ching. I talked to
Okay.
my advisor, and then my advisor said, "Hey, how about you read some book from Joseph Campbell
Okay.
about myths?" And so in the back of my head, I said, "Okay, I'll do that because you tell me to do so." But
Yeah.
from reading books from Joseph Campbell,
Uh-huh.
I learned that myths across cultures might
Uh,
have similar structure.
mm-hmm.
And the transformation of myths through time can reflect the transformation in concepts,
Yeah.
viewpoint, culture, human society. And I also learned about Native American mythology on enoughness from his book also.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, reading back and forth, compare and contrast, not just that four dimension, but related dimensions like, suffering, basic
Yeah.
needs,
Yeah.
pleasure, ignorance,
Yeah.
craving, those are all, related to that. And,
Yeah.
and, and I'd be able to,
Yeah.
crystallize that four
Yeah.
components. And
Yeah.
then through my interview, um, I try to, let them go free because I
Yeah.
start my interview with, like a question like, tell me about your hobby. And then
Yeah.
they talk about their hobby, like doing this and that. And I just, throw in questions like, why don't you do it more? And then when they come, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, when they come with their answer naturally,
Yeah.
the enough word came out.
Yeah.
And when the enough word came out, I
Yeah.
just, okay, I'm interested in that. Tell me what
Yeah.
enough means to you. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
conversation was very naturally planned
Yeah.
that way. And
Yeah.
the idea was brought up on top of the conversation
Yeah.
in a very natural way that I don't force them to go with that.
Okay.
Yeah. And so after, collect data, doing analysis, the theme came out quite similar to what I found in literature review.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah. Um, so people talk about those and its form four dimension,
Yeah.
but maybe there is a slightly different because, for example, when talking about knowing to stop, people talking about more in terms of controls,
Okay.
discipline,
Yeah.
limits, boundaries,
Yeah.
where they need to stop
Yeah.
or a bad consequence might happen,
Right. Yeah.
and or in consideration of harmony, people talking about it in
Yeah.
terms of balance,
Yeah.
like balance factors in your life. You have this and that, but it's limited
Yeah.
um, ability or resource that makes you
Yeah.
have to balance.
Yeah.
And but interestingly, that we found um, people talking about enoughness, but it's fragmented into three main aspects of life.
Uh-huh.
Is
Uh-huh.
enough in having,
Yeah.
enough in feeling,
Yeah.
and enough in doing.
Yeah.
So these three aspects interrelated somehow.
Yeah.
For example, if you don't feel enough as a person,
Yeah.
you might want to push yourself to do more
You're right.
and consume more to make up for
Yeah.
that not feeling enough.
Yeah.
Or if someone doesn't think he or she has enough,
Yeah.
they might, not feel confident enough
Mm-hmm.
as a person,
Yeah.
and they might work more to be able to afford more possessions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it's noticeable when people talk about having enough that I think I
Yeah.
have enough.
Yeah.
But we're talking about doing enough,
Yeah.
never do it. It's never do enough. In
Yeah.
terms of working, experiencing,
Yeah.
giving, learning, relaxing, playing,
Yeah.
people always say, I don't have enough of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they deal with that not
Yeah.
doing enough by having, goals and
Yeah.
plans.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they
Yeah.
reach that goal or that plan, they're done with that
Yeah.
plan, that's it.
Yeah. What are the implications of your research?
So talking about implication, I think at individual level,
Yeah.
we all have desires.
Yes.
We are desire machines in
Yeah.
the language of Deleuze and Guattari.
Yeah.
So develop a sense of enoughness is important for us as
Yeah.
a way to tame our desire and to live a
Yeah.
happy life.
Yeah.
Regarding that aspect, I think it's clear that
Yeah.
my research has an implication
Yeah.
on everyone's well-being.
Yeah.
Also, when in my interview, when I asked them the question, imagine that you lost your sense of enoughness, how your life would be, and
Mhm.
they visualize their loss of enoughness sense
Yeah.
in a very gloomy way.
Yeah.
They talked about sadness,
Uh-huh.
depression,
Uh-huh.
cunning and foxing personalities.
Yeah.
I think it's also another important
Mm.
implication
Mm.
at individual level.
Mm.
At society level,
Mm.
I think the sense of enoughness will help us to be mindful with our consumption in a
Mm.
healthier way and more
Mm.
sustainable manner to the
Mm.
society
Yeah.
and environment.
Yeah.
With that sense of enoughness, we don't have to stop consuming. It's impossible that to stop consuming at
Yeah.
all, but
Yeah.
it's possible to we can consume a more reasonable level that
Right.
nature can comfortably provide us,
Mm.
as well as we can balance our consumption for others more disadvantaged.
Okay. You made an animation film on enoughness, which you recently presented at the ACR Film Festival in Seattle, Washington. I'm going to play the clip of that film.
Why don't you keep fishing?
Because I have caught enough fish for the day.
Why don't you catch some more?
What would I do with them?
You could earn more money. With that, you could have a motor fixed to your boat and go into deeper waters and catch more fish. Then you would make enough to buy nylon nets. These would bring you more fish and more money. Soon you would have enough money to own your boats, maybe even a fleet of boats. Then you would be a rich man like me.
What would you do then?
Then you would really enjoy your life.
What do you think I am doing right now?
Tell me about your film.
My film was like the only animation adapted.
Oh,
And talking about publication,
yeah.
usually we must think of the rhetoric triangle
Yeah.
between purpose, audience, and
Yeah.
genre.
Right.
With my purpose, others and raise awareness about enoughness, because
Yeah.
who knows, I was saved with the clip of game show how much is enough. I
Yeah.
actually want to pay back for what I have received. I hope some point, when the idea of enoughness spark in someone
Mm.
else's head, there is
Mm.
my research there for them to dig deeper.
Yeah.
And for when I plan to make the film, I aim to a broader audience, an
Yeah.
average person
Yeah.
who can see my film and understand it.
Yeah.
I was basically a narrator telling my story of exploring enoughness in a science fiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I choose animation because it allows me to explain some of my ideas in a more creative way
Uh-huh.
in comparison with traditional footage.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and when I saw the announcement from ACR this year saying like, "Oh, we want to receive animation," I said, "Okay, I'm off it."
Nice.
and and then with qualitative research, it's
Yeah.
really good that I can really show participants
Yeah.
what they meant in
Right.
their own language, verbal and non-verbal.
Yeah.
So it's more interesting way to tell my story and communicate my research
Yeah.
in comparison with traditional paper.
Yeah.
But of course, I have to do the traditional papers too.
So, Ai Nhan, what is next for you?
That's an interesting question too. Okay, so regarding research, I'm moving toward like the first few steps of developing a scale
Okay.
of the sense of enoughness.
Okay.
It's called enoughness mindset.
Okay.
But in consumption only. So you see that it's only
Mm-hmm.
targeting the having enough aspect
Mm-hmm.
from my qualitative research.
Okay.
Um, and I'm just finished EFA step.
Okay.
And I'm really happy that I see the components came out just as what I found in literature review and in my qualitative exploration. But we got a surprise because there was a split in consideration of harmony.
Okay.
So consideration of harmony was split into the consideration harmony to nature, with nature, and with people. But I think the split makes sense.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Ai Nhan. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.